Nothing like a good old cautionary tale about AI when that's all that we're surrounded by. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The sixth episode of the fourth season of the morning show is here. It is called If Then. I've caught up. I am back on the train. Sorry for my folks who have been going along with me on the morning show. I see you guys. I see you're dedicated. It's not a lot of you because Apple doesn't promote to the masses like they should. But you're there, and I apologize for being behind. Um, this episode is an episode that I have sort of the writing was on the wall at the beginning of the season. I knew this was going to somehow take place just because of the star that Greta Lee has become. And I think she was a little too entrenched into the storyline for us to just like, she's gone and we just don't see her anymore. So they at least brought her back to give her a great character moment and a great character piece to sort of ride off into the sunset. And so this is the final Stella centric episode with Miss Greta Lee. So we start off with Stella and Celine. Celine has not given up the information that she is aware that Stella's banging her man. They are having a conversation about the O24 conference that's about to happen. The O24 conference is a conference that they put on before the Olympics to sort of show how they plan to promote the press, who's going to be the ones that are watching. It's just this big extravaganza that a media company does to kind of like an upfront, if you will. Stella is informing Celine that despite the $250 million that she has spent on AI, the AI program is not functioning correctly outside of the one that is, for her, they're not really effective. They keep crashing. And it won't be ready by the time the Olympics happen, which is not acceptable for Celine because they've spent so much money on this. They also don't have Chris, who was going to be their main star to put in front of the Olympics. And now she's playing a bit of a hardball with Mia because her star power has grown based on the interview that she had on the Bro Show. And so they're now at a bit of a stalemate in that they have an O24 show coming up and Olympics coverage is coming up, but they don't have anything good to show for it. And they're going to pretty much look like fools and have egg on their face. Stella's like, look, we need to get a win. Let me go talk to Mia and see if we can get Chris on board. Meanwhile, Bradley and Chip can't quite figure out who the woman, the redhead, the woman in the photo that she got from Corey's phone, who that is. And Chip kind of pushes a little bit into Bradley, like, hey, can we ask Corey more? Like, Corey, do you believe that he doesn't know? And Bradley sort of snips at him. He's like, Corey doesn't know. Like, I know he doesn't know. I've never seen him look at me the way that he looked at me. That conversation is over. You can go ask him, feel free. But he ain't talking to me no more. And Chip sort of leaves it at that. Like, okay, I don't know what happened there. Because Chip knows how Corey feels about Bradley. So if this has happened, this isn't something happened that dramatically changed their relationship. Chip's like, okay, if we can't go the Corey route, I have a person at the New York Times that may be able to give me a favor. And so he meets with this person in a dark alley and they have a sort of a tit for tat. Like, you do something for me, you scratch my back, find out who this person is, I'll scratch your back and give you access or have you lob up questions to sort of mess up things as they go along. And so that is in the wheelhouse in the background as the rest of the episode goes along. Meanwhile, Corey is actually trying to find out where Earl is and to see how much of his name is involved in this Wolf River stuff. He's like, while he doesn't know, and he's been had his sort of head in the sand as an ostrich, he does want to know what could blow back on him, especially if he's about to get this deal. He needs to know what is going on. Now, the deal still hasn't happened. Celine hasn't brought him back. Like people are aware that it's circulating and that he's going to be brought back in the office, but nothing's been signed. And so he's standing outside of the UBN office having these conversations and like, hey, give me some information. He's talking to his person who's still on the set. And as much time has been going along as he doesn't actually have the deal done, his feature film continues to deteriorate. Trailers starting to get pulled off the set. He's losing it all. And so he needs this to move along. And he needs to know that when he gets that deal, it's not going to blow up in his face. So that is why he's trying actively to figure out what the hell happened with Fred and Earl. So Stella has a meeting with Mia and Chris's husband. Chris isn't there. They're acting on her behalf, and they're playing tough. They are not giving up. They want a new deal restructured. They want a new deal now. They want Chris to be able to have right of refusal of new co-hosts, and they want her to have her own show, like a podcast or some sort. And Stella's like, nah. While her star is hot, and I see what your guys are doing, and this all makes sense. We're not going to give a new deal to Chris until her old deal is out. Like, that's not how we operate. That's not how things are going to go. To which Mia says, you guys are walking Corey, the Corey, back in this building and giving him money. And you're telling me that you can't find money for Chris? Straight white man is getting the money. The black woman's not. Tell me how that makes sense. And Stella's like, it's a film division. It's separate. It's something different. It's not the same thing. And Mia's like, okay, look, I'm about to call you out on your BS. You took this job and said that you would be a person of change. You would be so different than everybody else. You'd be the champion of people of color. I said you'd be different. What you've done is you surrounded yourself by people who are white, and then you have stepped on every single person of color to make sure that you stay in that position. Jesus, you've become the enemy. You've become the person that you said you would not. It's at that point that Mia says, you're not one of us, and you never were. And then she takes off. Mind you, this entire episode has Stella giving a voiceover, which I'm not gonna lie is jarring. It was a jarring piece. It happened the first time, and I was like, "Why are we doing this?" Because I don't recall in the history of the morning show else ever having a voiceover before, and so it's like, "Why are we doing this?" And then the second time that it occurred, I'm like, "Oh, I get what's happening. This is her final episode," and so we're sort of giving her this big grand send off. But it's a jarring viewpoint in that we've never used it before. So why the hell are we using it in episode 5 or episode 6 of the 4th season of the morning show is beyond me. Corey meets with Alex and they have a tit for tat. It's always funny to me because the two of them have moments where they seem friendly with each other, but they actively don't trust each other because they have both done things to put the other in a harmful situation. But he is trying to ask Alex, like, look, I don't know anything about this Earl and this Fred stuff. I'm coming to you because you're the only other person who in this building who was there when I got the job. Does anything seem out of line or seem different to you, or news that you received that maybe I didn't receive about why I became the head of the news versus people who were probably much more qualified than I at the time? And Alex says it's hard to remember much stuff, but the only thing that I can recall is like 2 weeks before you took the job, there was this big gala that happened, this correspondence dinner, and Fred was there, and that's all I remember because then 2 weeks later you were announced. So something happened with the big wigs there within the situation that allowed you to become this person. And he's like, okay, got it. At that point, Stella comes in and Stella takes Alex away and says, hey, we got a problem. Chris is playing hardball. I don't think we're going to be able to get her. Even if we were able to give her a new deal, it's not going to be signed and ready to go print before the O24. So we need to pivot and find something else to do. So at that point, she's like, I do have an idea. I've asked someone. They're interested, but the ask is going to come from you. And she looks at him and she knows, like, oh crap, I need to go talk to bro. Bro. Yeah, fine. I will go muck it up in the mud with this guy. So enter bro. She goes to, I guess bro does, and when he's not podcasting, he does these open mic stand-ups where he's borderline a comedian. It's clear that they're trying to make this guy Joe Rogan. Like, that's who he is. And so she goes there, watches his set. Sure, I guess it's funny, but whether or not it's funny or not is irrelevant. He has an audience. He has his pulse on an audience that chews up and eats up everything that he does. And so they talk a little bit after his set, and they go back and forth. And there's some flirting. There's some. These guys have a very intense sexual tension, but there's also growing a mutual respect for the two of each other of them. They both have a respect for each other based on the way that that interview happened with Chris. But in this, Bro says, "Hey, look, I want to be a part of the political landscape. Like, I want to be within politics. I will do this O24 deal with you if you guys can guarantee that I'm going to be put on the debate stage for the political conventions when they arise. And Alex is like, I don't know if I can promise that. She's like, well, that's my deal. That is how we can work this out. Or you can kiss me. Either or. I'll take either. And she's like, okay, table that. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. There is I haven't talked much about a lot of the narrative stuff that Stella is saying because whatever she's kind of going through, it's coming up in the story as well. But this one's important because she's just laying there with Miles after a night of lovemaking. She has a small single tear coming down her eye. She is in the overlay in the voiceover. She's reflecting on the fact that she hates the person that she has become. Despite the idea and the concept of doing things the right way and doing things the way that she felt should be done, she has let her inner straight white guy come out and cause pain to a lot of people that look like her or are people of color. Um, and has allowed that inner straight white guy to make all the decisions that has done. That's led her to be in bed with somebody that she knows can't really go anywhere. Made her do the thing with the 8 in the season before where a fellow Asian woman, she basically had her licking up stuff. And she's stepping on anybody that she can to become ahead. And she's become a person that she can't look at or stand anymore. She and Miles have a conversation because she kind of checks Miles like, look, why do we pick each other? We put ourselves in this position because we know that there's no future between the two of us. We know we're stuck. And it's safe because there's no room for growth. There's no room for future. You're married and I have a business that I can't leave to. We're kind of like in this rat race. We're trapped in this race. And she's like, and now it's been so much weight on her that she wants to escape. Like she wants to get out of it. And Miles like, you never really wanted this. Like you took the job, but you hate it because you hate the mask that you have to put on this front for all these people. And it's at that point that Stella's like, look, I have a talent problem and I have an AI problem. And I'm doing everything possible to not just let it all blow up in my face. And I was like, well, maybe you should, because you don't truly want this. You say that the job is a mask that's suffocating. And then Stella kind of pushes back and says, you have no idea what I had to do to do this. Like to her, she has to sell her soul. And it's something that Corey also had to do, but he was okay with it. He was a lot more accepting of having to sell his soul. We'll get there. There's a little bit of a change of that in this episode, but he was fine with it. She is not willing to do so. And then she sort of complains and pushes at Miles, like, you're taking the easy road. Like you didn't have a hard road to get to the point you're at. I did. I had to step on people that look like me that I'm supposed to be caring about. You married somebody and just gets to go ahead and like make your paintings whenever the hell you want to and gets to bang your wife and bang your girlfriend. Like you are living the best situation. So you can't put your level of what you had to give up to my level of what we have to give up. So at that point that Miles sort of pushes back to her and is like, you picked me because you didn't have to choose me. You like the idea of going away on a plane. And so this has been this thing. It's like, hey, pick a flight, let's get on it and just leave. Let's abscond upon this, throw this all away, and we can just take off. He tells her, like, you like the idea of that, but you know you'll never do that. Like, you'll never get on that plane together with me. You keep me separate from your life so much that you can have an easy escape hatch should you need to. And it's at that point, I can tell that they've had this conversation before because they both come with their bullet points ready. And but at this point, she says, look, I'm leaving. But she takes off and says she leaves and says, don't call me and have a nice life. To my point, again, I feel like this has been a routine for the two of them. While looking at the gala photos, because that sort of triggered something into Corey, who was not at the gala, he's looking at the photos to see who was there. And he finds a photo of Fred and his mother, who he's like, okay, what did my mother say to him in this moment that allowed me to get this job? So he has to go make his way to go talk to his mom. Now, when he gets there, he confronts her. He talks to her. He checks her. It gets pretty aggressive. She has this whole thing about assisted suicide that she's possibly talking about. And Corey's like, hold on, stop this. We're not talking about this. And at that point, she lets him know that, like, look, I didn't talk to Fred that night, but Celine did. Celine had a very good conversation with him that night. And Corey's like, copy. okay, and then he takes off. Well, that's happening. Celine tells Stella to give Bro the debate, or at least give the idea that he's going to get the debate. All we need him to do is the O24. Celine knows that the commission is not going to allow when Bro to do the debate. They're going to block it. And so we can give it to him. We can get him set up. We can even visually put out that we are backing him. But she knows that when it comes down to it, the commission's going to stop it, and we won't have blood on our hands or dirt on our hands because we backed him and someone else came in and stopped it. So give him the go ahead. Me and Chip have drinks and commiserate over the TMS, to which Chip, a bit of pillow talking, gives up the fact that, like, hey, Bradley probably isn't going to take that extension. She doesn't really want to be there. She's got a lot of personal things going on. I can't go into depth about it, but the story is doing that she's going over right now is doing a lot of damage to her. And I don't see her being long for the world, which gives me a sort of the inside, like, okay, what are you doing here? Like, you're giving me this information. We don't normally have these type of happy hour moments. So what do you want? He wants some dirt. And he's willing to give her the ability to get whatever messaging she wants out about Chris through him, leaving them clean. Like, hey, if there's something you want to ask or something you want to talk about or a point you want to hit, give it to me. I will get it out there in the ether. And then your hands stand clean, but we get to sort of muck it up with everybody. And she's like, okay, cool, let's do that. We then see a sequence of Stella at her desk talking to the AI version of her, and she's kind of had using this to be her her therapy session. But we know that it is programmed in a way that is going to tell her what it is that she needs to hear. But she's trying to get prep talk from Celine 2.0, and she comes clean about how filthy she feels about the Asian girl situation from the previous season and how she that did that to her own people that look like her, and that she's racist and sexist and did whatever she could do to become the CEO. And she's saying this to her AI, which they both acknowledge that those things had to be done for her to become the CEO. She would not have been the CEO had she not done those things. She also asked in this moment, do I love Miles? And can I create a future with him? These are all important because these pieces are being recorded and stuck into the memory of the AI, because that's how the AI grows. Comes back to bite her in the ass at the end. Backstage before the O2 event, Celine starts playing some sort of mind games with Stella. Like she grabs her hand, her forearm, and says, "Hey, look, I've never felt closer to you than I do right now." It's sort of her way of being like, Stella's like, "What the hell is this? What the hell is happening?" But it's Celine's way of sort of dropping the breadcrumbs that I know, without actually coming out to say it. But in this, as they're stealing backstage, Bro says he doesn't want to come to the O2 show. He's backing out. One, because he doesn't want to piss on Chris. He's like, look, I blew up her life. I put her interview on there and she was really vulnerable with me. I don't want to be the person that takes this away from her. And I don't want to be that. I don't want the stain of me being the straight white guy taking a job away from the black woman. So, nah, I'm going to pass on that. Also, I know that when it comes to the debate, unless you guys can promise me right now that this isn't going to get blocked by the commission, then I know that this is just a front for this. And when they ask, Celine, Stella, and Alex all kind of don't respond back to that. And Bro's like, "That's what I thought. I knew." And so he's out. So they have to come up with something on the fly. Like the O2, they're backstage at the O2 show, and they don't have a big superstar that Stella has kind of promised to the world that they were going to deliver today. Chris isn't there. Bro's not coming. They got nothing. And so Stella decides at that point to go grab her computer and showcase her AI in front of the millions, even though at the beginning of the episode, we already had learned that it wasn't on the up and up and everything wasn't good, except for the version that she had, which was the best one, still wasn't the best one to sort of run into the masses. But she's flying close to the sun and she needs a win. She's trying her best to come up with this new idea so that this all doesn't blow up in her face. And so I think she pushes a little too close to the flame without sort of doing all the vetting and testing. So she gets the AI out there in front of the masses. It's going well. People are responding. She's asking it sort of the softball questions. And at that point, the Mia Chip piece comes into place because Chip has the New York Times person. Mia has fed a question through Chip to them to sort of, hey, real quick, why are we taking Stella jobs away from Chris and Chris's behalf for a straight white man. Like we're giving straight white men the ability to make more money than Chris. And is this now the replacement for folks like that? Like, are we now giving these folks here the talent replacement for Chris's and all of that stuff? Into which there is something that happens with the AI and between Stella, and that Stella doesn't get to answer. The AI answers for her and starts saying, "Hey, DEI is a joke. DEI is not real. We can't tell you how we truly feel about DEI because it will look bad in front of the media." And yeah, it goes left real fast. This AI has a complete meltdown in front of everybody. It starts regurgitating some of the things that Stella said about how she's racist, she's sexist, and she has done whatever she possibly could to step on people to become the CEO. She also then brings up the fact that, hey, do I love Miles? Which people are like, wait, Miles? Celine's Miles? So like, what is happening right now? Oh my, it is a complete shutdown. Celine eventually gets up to close the laptop and then she just takes off. Stella stands there. She sees Mia up in the upper corner, and then she just takes off. And so this implosion has had sort of a massive effect on how this is all going to go down. As Celine's leaving, she's calling the board like, look, she sort of self-sabotaged herself, even though I had a plan to sort of remove her. She did this to herself. So let's have a war meeting immediately and get her out of there. Stella has a bit of a panic attack, goes outside, and then she quickly goes to Miles's place and like, look, let's do it. Let's go and get on a plane. Let's get the hell up out of here. I'm ready to go leave with you. Like, she's ready to burn it all down and says, this isn't going to work. So the next day, Alex does the morning show to deliver the news that Stella has stepped down and resigned from the CEO position, and that there's no, we don't have, in the interim, Celine is acting as interim CEO until a new one is appointed. And she reads a letter that Stella wrote, but we know that Celine and them wrote to sort of put out to the masses. While that is happening, Corey sees an email that Fred received payments in the amount of roughly just under $5 million from the Dumont family, which is Celine's family, which then Corey has to go confront Celine and be like, what the hell happened? Like, what is this? How did this get here and why? Essentially, Celine put her friend, put Corey in place, knowing that she could control Corey enough to be like, hey, make this part disappear, and I don't have to explain anything to you. She knew Corey was like, hey, you don't care about this. You just want the business. You want this position. You'll do what it is to get in the position, and I can tell you easily to shut that down without having to go into it. And so Corey's faced with a bit of a point of soul selling at this point, something that Stella has had a problem with, and something that Corey has not previously. But he had a little bit of reservations earlier this season because he was falling for Bradley and was starting to sort of get a conscience. But in this, Celine just straight up asked him, like, well, what do you want? Like, what are you doing? Do you want to be a part of the future, or do you want to be a part of the past? Like, what is your end goal here? And Corey just says, I just want my film to not shut down and be back. And Celine's like, cool, say less. You got that. So then we see a shot of Corey going down the elevator, and he is seeing the morning show kind of just be in disarray. We're seeing people get laid off. People are moving. Like, it's about to be a bloodbath down there. But he catches Bradley, the silhouette of Bradley, who was looking away. Bradley never sees him. He sees Bradley. And in that moment, he knows that, like, yeah, I can never tell her that now I know the pieces and what's happening and how this sort of got hidden. And while I didn't have anything or to do with it originally, I do now. And you can tell in that moment that he still has feelings for Bradley. He still cares a great deal for Bradley. But he is hurt. And now he is in a bad way because he's hurt. And now he was so willing to give up and sell his soul for his next venture. But he will now be a part of the room where it happens, where Stella was not able to sell her soul, or she did and it killed her. Corey is a lot more accepting of this. And because of the Bradley piece doesn't hold him to any morality anymore, caution to the wind, screw it, let me get my film back. Celine comes to see Miles and sort of lays her heart out on the line. She's like, look, I get why you did this because it was easy with Stella. But I just wish it wasn't her. She says, like, I had a moment where it was easy before for me, and I chose to not do the easy part. It was before we were married, had someone who I think my parents would have approved of, everything, but I chose you because you had a drive that couldn't be matched. Like I wanted that fire, that passion that you had that no one else had. She says, like, I love you. I still love you. And it hurts that I love you, but I do. And I love you despite all that you've done and everything that's like, happened here. And I would do what we have 1,000 times over again to still be with you. Um, and then she says, now you have to choose. Here's the thing. In this moment, Miles probably realized that my money is going to dry up. For me to be this famous artist and whatnot, I don't love Stella enough to give up all the easy parts of my life that I have. Because this is easy for me. Like I can do this with no issue. I don't have to pay for anything. I got my loft, I got my job, I got my payments. If I go with Stella, I'm going to basically be Aladdin. I'm going to be out in the streets, kind of like nothing. I'm going to have nothing. I have to start from the ground up and just be going off of pure love. Is that enough for me to justify going? We find out quickly it is not. We'll get there in a moment. Because Chip gets the name of the person that Bradley needs to see, the redhead. Her name is Sophia Volk. Bradley reaches out to see if the cell phone still works, and it does. And so that's a cliffhanger for the next episode, but there's going to be some interaction there. The last part, Stella writes a letter to Mia, kind of saying, "Hey, look, you are a superpower, and I wish I had done right by you. I did let this get to my head. You are absolutely right. You read me the right act, and you were correct in that. Um, Chaos is going to ensue after the CEO job is gone, and I think you would be the right person for it. There's going to be a power void, and I think you should go for it. And I hope you take it. I do hope you go get it." And then she gives her a bit of a head start to do so. She gives her the AI that she's going to need to go. She's going to need to take some time to fix it, but she's ahead of everyone else in sort of in doing this. And so um, I do hope that this season ends with the Black woman being the CEO, like Mia being there, and then Chris being like one of the head anchors. Like that would be a good time. Don't know if we're going to get there, but at least Stella has done her duty to be like, hey, I'm going to at least give you an olive branch. Just you do this, and you're more pure than I am. You're going to do this the right way, where I did not. So Stella shows up at the airport, ready to meet Miles. Like they talked it over, and they're going to get on this plane. She gets there, and she's waiting and waiting. The entire the plane is boarded. She's the last one, just waiting for Miles to show up. She says, "I'm at the gate," and then after a long pause, he sends her a text just saying, "I'm sorry." He's made his choice. He's like, I can't do the painful part. I'm going to stay here with my wife and my money, and I can do whatever the hell I want to do. Which hurts Stella. She did love. It's clear that in that moment she loved him. She has a bit of a breakdown with tears. She looks at the gate, and then she eventually gets on that plane by herself to go off and do things that help and fulfill her without the dread of this rat race that corporate and this newscasting stuff has done to her. She's gotten free. She's escaped. She's gotten out of the race. And that's the episode. And that is the end of Greta Lee, who did a fantastic job. And I will say that it probably was a lot for her timing wise, because she was doing Tron. She's got past lives. She's gotten moved. She's becoming a movie star. It's probably be a lot for her to return to this, but she gave them 6 episodes, 5 technically, because she wasn't in the last one, but she gave them 6 episodes to get her story and get her off the air. And I think it came together well with somebody who wanted the job, got the flame, got the brass ring, and then realized that that ring was too damn hot for her to do. And she had to give up everything she was as a person to do so. And we'll see how Mia does trying to get that ring. And we'll see how Corey does with now having hints of morality and not being such a bloodthirsty person as he was the first couple of seasons. What did you guys think about the 6th episode of the morning show, season 4, called If Then? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.